What is up, football fans, but most importantly, USFL fans, to another episode of Tell Me About It. Now, this week we are talking about week 8. It is the week 8 recaps. It was a wild week. I mean, another week. It's been 10 straight games in the USFL that have been decided with 6 points or less, I believe. And this week was no different. There was only one game that I don't think was actually close. The score looked closer than the game actually was, but we will get into that. Now, game number 1 that I want to talk about is going to be the Houston Gamblers at the Pittsburgh Maulers. So, first up, I'm going to let my man Webb in the USFL Authority Bowl. I'm going to let my man Webb talk to us, probably from his car again, because they didn't win again.
All right, guys, we're back. Still in the car. Tough loss this week. Missed kick is not the way that you want to lose a game, especially when you're in it and you control a lot of the game. Outside of 2 rushing plays, Mark Thompson really didn't do much. That's on the Maulers, and Horton said that in his presser after the game. Troy played well. The receivers played well. They just got to figure out how to get into the end zone. No turnovers, which is always a good thing. But now it's do or die. It's on to the Panthers, who are one of the 2 wins for the Maulers. And then the Generals. Maulers control their own destiny, as many teams in the USFL do. And we'll see what they got. All right, guys. Next week, I'm celebrating. I'm dancing like Mav.
I love it. He's going to dance like Maverick next week if they beat the Panthers. So another week in his car, sadly, but at least it wasn't raining this time. So like he said, they controlled most of the game. Honestly, they deserved the win against my Gamblers, but blew it at the end and missed the go-ahead field goal that would have forced the Gamblers to have to go run down the field and get a field goal to beat them. So made it a little bit easier. I'm not saying that field goal would have absolutely won the game, but it would have made the percentage very much higher in the Maulers category. Now, Troy Williams had a fantastic game. He had something like a 75% completion percentage, something crazy like that. You know what? Let me just pull it up for you. So the man had, 76.9% completion percentage, 214 yards, which is one of the highest he's had this season. 100.5 QBR. I asked him in his press conference what was happening, and he said that the guys around him are just really clicking, that everybody is getting a better understanding of the offense each week, and that's why he's able to progress. So Troy Williams looked great. The receivers need to just find a way to get into the end zone. Their running game still kind of abysmal. I'm not totally sure what is wrong with that, but the Gamblers on the other side look great, kind of. So the defense still looks great, which I absolutely love. They're keeping us in the games. They kept us in the Showboats game. They kept us in this game. Fun fact, the score was the same in the Showboats game going into the second quarter and third quarter as it was this week. I have my graphics that I post at the end of every quarter, and I literally didn't have to change the score until the fourth quarter, I believe. So the defense really kept us in it in low-scoring games, and the offense just needs to find ways to do it. Mark Thompson increased his record from 11 rushing touchdowns to 13 rushing touchdowns. I know Webb said that he only had 2 runs. Ray Horton said that in the presser as well. But honestly, he had 98 yards. He had 4 or 5 pretty good runs. So they weren't containing him. That's the best defensive line and the best defense that we're going to face this season. So it makes you feel better going up against the Stallions this week, who don't have that good of a defense. And our defense is playing great. We just added another edge rusher in Chris Garrett from the Rams. So things are looking up. So it's going to be good. Now, game number 2 from last week was the Stars at the Stallions. Now, this was pretty much the game of the week. It was a pretty solid game. So let me talk about the Stars first. The Stars look fantastic. Corey Coleman, at this point, he is looking like the best receiver in the league. I want to say that it's Justin Hall and the Gamblers, but he's kind of quieted down the past few weeks. Corey Coleman has only ramped it up. He's looking great. Case Cookus looks like the midseason Case Cookus that we saw last year. He was hitting his passes. He was hitting touchdowns. Matt Colburn looked great. Now, Matt Colburn has been placed on IR. That is bad for the Stars. Channing Stribling also on IR after that game. So they really wish that they had gotten the win when they lost 2 of their stars going at it. But, I mean, it really showed that they are the team to beat in the North. If they win this week, they clinch. So let's hear from the Stallions.
Buck here for talk about, I guess, a recap of that exciting win over Philadelphia. As a Stallions fan and someone who's covering them, that was an exciting game. It was a little closer than I kind of hoped it was. But overall, I was very happy with just the mentality of how the team went through. Again, shootout of a game, but both teams were kind of willing to stay in there. But Birmingham was the team that was willing to make the extra edge to go out and win. Being able to view the Petaway touchdown literally feet in front of me was absolutely insane and a lot of fun. But again, a close game, but I think we're seeing a Stallions team that is really kind of finding their feet when it comes to their offense finally, and not just having weekly heroes. So that's going to be an interesting thing to see, especially against Houston and Memphis with the playoffs coming up.
I absolutely love what Buck said when he said that they're a team that's finding their feet offensively and they don't have to have weekly heroes, because that really has been what it is each week, that they've been plagued by injuries. They're very scrappy. They find ways to get it done, and someone has to step up each week. Whereas this week, Jay Sternberger, LaMichael Petway, Alex Magoo, CJ Marable, their entire offense is really starting to click. I didn't really mention receivers there because other than, honestly, Deion Kane, the receivers haven't shown up that much this season. It's very much the tight ends. And if you're going to rely on your tight ends, that's probably the best tight ends to roll with are the three that they have. Luke Miller over at Newsroom called it the three-headed horse, I think. Whatever. So, yes, the Stallions do look much better offensively. Their defense is still shaky. The Stars were putting up points on them. They were moving on them pretty easily. So they're still a team that, again, both those teams going into this week, if they win their matchups this week in week 9, they clinch playoff berth. But the Stallions are looking better offensively. They're putting it together, and people are talking about injuries less and less each week, and it's more becoming this is a team who can win a championship. So there's a lot of good coming out of the Stallions. Now, moving on, we had Memphis Showboats versus the New Jersey Generals. Now, we don't have a Generals rep currently, so let me talk about them real quick. The Generals, still not good. This is the game where, while the score came out 25-16, it was a one-score game. So I lied earlier. It wasn't 6 points or less. It's been 10 games that have been decided in a single score or less. So, you can have a 9-point touchdown or you can have a 6-point touchdown with a 3-point conversion. So 9 points is still a one-possession game. Now, the Showboats were controlling that game entirely from start to finish. Their defense, still fantastic. Even without Kyrie Woods, they're looking great. They're getting the pass rush in there. They completely stopped the Generals. The Generals don't look good on any part. They pulled Kyle Laletta. They put Dakota Prukop in, and he honestly started looking good. If he had started the entire game, they might have had a chance because their defense was solid. You got Toby Johnson in the middle, Chris Orr, Shalom Luani, Christian Tutt. They have great guys on that defense who are keeping them in games, but their offense is just a non-starter. It's a moot point. So until they're able to do that, they're not going to win games. But let's hear about the other side and from the captain himself, how those Showboats did.
All my people in the yacht club, stand up, man. This Memphis Showboats team is on a 5-game win streak after beating the New Jersey Generals in Canton, Ohio. Whoa, man. Could you imagine? Here we are, sitting pretty, in control of our own destiny. 2 more weeks to go in the season. Just got to take down 2 more division rivals. One we've already beat. One we got to get revenge on. It's awesome. Awesome spot to be in. Took down a tough Generals team, man. That defense is stingy, okay? We only scored 1 touchdown in the game. All of our other points came from Alex Kessman, 6 for 6. Special Team Player of the Week award winner. Shout out, Alex. Back-to-back weeks with the Showboats player winning Player of the Week honors. It's awesome, man. Go Boats. Straight to the playoffs. Let's go.
Straight to the playoffs. We'll see about it. Now, I do love that everybody is saying that they are in control of their own destiny, because they are. Every single team is, if they win the next 2 weeks, they're in the playoffs. And that is crazy. The fact that we have no spots in the playoffs hashed out by this point in the season is something that not a lot of people would have seen coming. Last season, we knew the Maulers, the Gamblers, the Panthers. By week 9, they were all out. There was nothing left. And I believe going into week 9, the only one that possibly could have gotten in was the Tampa Bay Bandits. They don't even exist anymore. So by this point in the season last year, there wasn't anybody that exists now who was still trying to get in the playoffs. So I love the fact that the parity in this league is crazy. Also, parity, a word you never saw be used in the spring community until this started happening. So way to go, guys. Y'all pulled out your thesaurus and found a new word for, the spread in this league. Love it. Good job, guys. Now, to our last game, we we actually have a representative from each team. So I'm just going to let them do the talking. Let's let the loser go first.
Michigan, unfortunately, the Michigan Panthers have lost again. It was a heartbreaker this Sunday. The Michigan Panthers took on the New Orleans Breakers and came up short with a final score of 24-20. Despite having won the turnover battle 3-0, and the Michigan Panthers are still the team with the most turnovers, we still can't seem to get another notch in that win column, bringing us down to 3-5. Luckily for us, the North, not looking so hot, so we're still second place and right in that playoff hunt. Congratulations to Frank Ginda for winning the third Defensive Player of the Week. That he's the only player to do that and is distinguishing himself as a clear all-USFL player. So we look forward to next week where we take on the Pittsburgh Maulers, and hopefully we can bring home a dub that seals us that playoff berth. Go Michigan, let's hunt.
All right. So other than the Stars, the Michigan Panthers are able to clinch a playoff berth if they win this week and the Stars win. So they have a clinching scenario this week. I believe the Generals and the Maulers, they both can still do it if they win both of their games, but they aren't able to clinch this week. The Stars and Panthers both could. If each of them win, if the Stars and Panthers win their North matchups, then they are both in the playoffs and it is decided. And then week 9, the Maulers and Generals are just playing for funsies. And Canton gets dollar hot dogs. But now we move on to the Breakers, and I think we're probably going to get a pretty in-depth explanation of what happened in this game by Lowe.
New Orleans would start the game with the ball, go down the field, but they would fumble near the goal line. Michigan would get the ball, go down the field, and miss a field goal. The score at the end of the first was 0-0. Second quarter was pure fireworks. 3 straight New Orleans touchdowns, Wes Hills, and then 2 by Johnny Dixon, and then Michigan would answer, Marcus Ball, touchdown, Michigan field goal. Your score at halftime was 21-10. Third quarter, Trey Quinn would score a touchdown for Michigan, but New Orleans would add a field goal, so your score would be 24-17 heading into the fourth quarter. In the fourth quarter, Michigan would kick a field goal and cut their deficit down to 24-20, but they would throw an interception later in the game, and they would go on to lose 24-20.
I just love the way that he literally gives the play-by-play of like the entire game. But yes, Michigan lost. The Breakers were able to pull it out. Johnny Dixon played like a man possessed 2 weeks in a row that Jay Adams has been able to get the ball in his hands consistently. I don't know what happened. Maybe it was just that MBT got a case of the yips for a couple weeks, but he seems to be back and he's doing great. So everything could be shaken up this week. It seems like each week we're saying this is a huge week, and it is, because every single week the playoff picture doesn't come to focus. Everybody is still able to, control their own destiny, and that's the best place you want to be in. Everybody wants to be able to just have to win to get in. You don't want to have to rely on other teams doing things. I know that the Panthers need the Stars to win to be able to clinch this week, but if the Panthers win this week and then the next week, they're still in. So they still control their own destiny. So I absolutely love it. This was a fantastic week of football. I loved every single game, especially because my Gamblers won. And hopefully I'm going to love every game and the Gamblers are going to win again. So cannot wait for week 9. It's so exciting to be able to care about every single game going into week 9. That is a blessing for all USFL fans, and we love it. Can't wait to see y'all and tell you about it next week on week 9 recap. Tell me about it. Presented by the USFL Network. Make sure to go subscribe to our YouTube channel. Once we hit 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to send out a Kevontae Turpin signed Cowboys jersey to a random sub. So get it out of my closet. I want to send it to someone. Go hit that like button, hit subscribe, and let's do this. See y'all next week.